Thanks for tuning in to Bourbon Drop. I'm your host, Myron. Today, we've got ourselves a challenge on our hands. Shout out to Kurt and Trent over at SLB Drinks. Kurt, you know, he did a video by himself. Trent was feeling a little under the weather. Hope you feel better by now. But he put the challenge out there. He challenged me and a few other channels. He challenged us to show our most interesting whiskeys. And I figured that I've got quite a few. You know, they're not all going to be bourbon. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to have some whiskey, some rye, some American whiskey. So I'm going to have quite a few things on here. But I appreciate the challenge, man. Shout out to you guys once again for looking out for such a small channel. I really appreciate it, Kurt. Let's get into the list. And one of the bottles, of course, is in this glass tonight. So the first up on the list, and I do have some notes here. I have to have a cheat sheet because I've got about 10 bottles. So, you know, I'm just trying to give you guys the reason why I find them so interesting. So first up on the list is going to be the JD Triple Mash. Now, these are in no particular order. I just think that they're interesting. I think that these whiskeys offer something that I just don't find every day. I mean, trust me, bourbon is my number one. I love bourbon. I love the rich, buttery brown sugar and butterscotch notes. But when you find something different that you really like, it's like, wow, man, it's something that's just different and interesting to you. So that's why this JD Triple Mash is on the list. Now, this is what I find in the JD Triple Mash. So I wrote down apricots, that pink bubblegum note, honey, and caramel. I like things, and you'll probably see those notes on the list tonight because I like things that can take me on a ride. I don't like... Well, I'm not going to say I don't like one-note wonders because I do like to sit down sometimes with something that's just nice and light, you know, a little nice vanilla punch and, you know, and just sip on it. Kurt said that his interesting glasses, normally he can sit through for an hour and a half and just pick it apart. Kurt, I'm sorry. I don't think a glass has ever made it an hour and a half around me, not even at a restaurant. I think the longest I've had a glass sit in front of me is maybe 30 to 45 minutes. But I do like to sit down and pick different whiskeys apart, and I do like to sit down and just break every part of them down, from the nose to the palate to the finish. I like glasses that I can just, like I said, take me on a ride, and I can sit there and just get that, just nose it all day long. Now, Kurt was saying he likes things that just, you know, he can just sit down with it and he gets different notes every time he sits down with it, and he likes to break them down like that. So next up on the list, you guys know I talk about this all the time. This is Old Line, man. To me, Old Line is just incredible. And when the wife took me out for my birthday not too long ago, the restaurant had a Westward single, what is it, American single malt, but it was cask strength, and it was delicious. I've got to get myself a bottle. It was delicious. But that and this, to me, run neck and neck. So in the Old Line, I get a lot of dried apricots, I get peaches, I get dried cranberry, and then it just finishes with the heavy chocolate. And shout out to Troy from Baker Drinks, because I got Troy a bottle of this, and Troy was like, yeah, that thing is a chocolate bomb. I mean, that was one of my first American single malts at cask strength, and I just thought it was amazing. Next up on the list. Now, you guys have recently seen a review of this bottle. I have been finding myself going back to this bottle, and shout out to Shane, because I got Shane to sample, and Shane really liked it. I'm waiting to hear back from a few other people, but I know they're gonna like it. The Hemingway rye was just mainly dates, raisins, plums, had a very good mouthfeel for 192 proof. No, we're not doing that on the channel. 102 proof. But don't think I wouldn't try it if I had some sitting in front of me. All right, so next up on the list, and this is one of my favorites. So this I haven't released. Oh, you don't know. I think this was one of the first shelf life videos that I ever released, was the 4 Roses Small Batch Select. Always on the shelf, always readily available, between 55 and 60 bucks, depending on what area you're in. But to me, this thing is just all fruits up front. I don't know what it is. Every bottle I get, they're always consistent. The first half of the bottle, to me, is so fruity. And then when it gets down to the bottom half of the glass, it just turns into just nothing but chocolate. And I just, that trips me out because it does it to me in every bottle. I don't know what it is, but it is just some great stuff, man. Let's get the next one up on the list so you guys know I talk about this brand, especially these two. This is one of the two a lot. So this is going to be the JD Single Barrel Barrel Proof Rye. I am finding myself liking the Single Barrel Barrel Proof Rye more than the JD SBBP. It's just so rich. Now this is what I have written down. So I've got heavy vanilla, pink bubble gum. I've got citrus like lemongrass, like crisp apples on the nose, maple syrup and brown sugar, and just rich, bold flavors, man. And it's got like a little minty thing going on too. I might have to move some of these bottles up or double up a little bit because it's starting to get crowded on this table. I'm not going to try to make this thing too long. I know lately I've been releasing some long videos, so let's get into the next bottle, Napoleon Castle 12. I actually don't have any more. I think this is an excellent summertime pour. It's very light, very refreshing on the nose. It's got a lot of fruit and light honey. It's got a little bit of like pineapples and mangoes in it. It's only 86 proof. This thing has one hell of a palate, man. And when I chill it, I don't normally drink my stuff chilled down, but for some reason, when I put like chilled whiskey stones or the stainless steel whiskey cubes in a glass, it makes it thicker. And the mouthfeel is just phenomenal, especially to be 86 proof. It is 12 years old. All 12 years are spent in ex-bourbon barrels. This thing right here, and at $35, just the flavors, the notes, just the lightness of it, that is what makes this Irish whiskey interesting to me. All right, let's get into the next one. So the next one, shout out to Kevin. Kevin, look, S&W all day long, man. This rosé cask, I've gotten some samples of this thing out to people. To me, what makes this whiskey interesting to me is the rosé in it. I've never had anything finished in rosé. It is so sweet, so fruity, but it is heavily influenced by that rosé. Not to the point where you're not gonna like it, but it almost has, and I said this in a review, it almost has like this carbonated feeling to it sometimes. Like when I'm sipping on it, it's like I can taste that bite of like that champagne rosé style. It makes it interesting to me. It's just all throughout, and it's not overpowering. It is very well done. All right, let's get into the next one. So the next one, you guys, look, I called this my stag beater. This was my GTS beater to be frank, but this thing right here, man, just deep vanilla, deep cherry, oak on the nose. What else did I put down? Sweet caramel, strawberry Twizzlers is what I said in the original review. But then going back to it on the palate, that cherry is just all throughout this bottle, man. It's definitely on the front of the palate, the mid, rich vanilla. It is savory. It has a lot of those butterscotch notes. Like I said, pretty much all of the whiskeys on this table take me on a ride. And I like something that sometimes I want something that just smashes you in the mouth. Sometimes I want something that's just like one note and light. But when they take me on a ride and I get just different flavors and I can sit there and sip it and break it down. Once again, Kurt, not for an hour and a half, but just sit there maybe 20 minutes at the most and just break it down, man. That's what I love. That's what I find interesting in the whiskey. All right, so next up on the list, next to the last, this is going to be the Virginia Distilling's VHW. And I don't think I ever did a review of this particular bottle on the channel. The reason why I find this bottle interesting is because it is a blend of Irish, let's get this right. I'm sorry, Scotch malt whiskey and American whiskey finished in port wine cask. This was the first like Scotchy type thing that I like really bought, and this is what made me start looking in that direction of like Irish whiskeys and Scotches. The notes that it offers, I mean, it's raisins, it's plums. What else did I put down here? It's got oak on the nose. a little bit of sour green apple. It's got that Scotch note. You guys know what I mean, like Scotch, not that peated stuff, but like that almost like light raisin slash maltiness on the nose. Then it's got sweet raisins and apricots on a palate. It's got brown sugar, and then all of a sudden it just turns into this dark chocolate and char on the back end. I had to sip some before the video because this bottle was about a year old and I haven't had any in a while. Cheers. That is an excellent pour, man. That is truly a wonderful pour. All right, we are going to get into the last bottle. And I don't know if you guys have an idea of what it's going to be. You know I'm a big Elijah Craig fan. But the 13-year, 3-month-old C923. Now, I haven't had any in a while, so let me go to my cheat sheet. So C923 is probably the closest thing you're going to get to a pirate bottle. And that's why I put it up against a pirate bottle. Pirate bottle beat out. But the C923, man, in this day and age, oh my gosh, it is excellent. So this is what I wrote down. A dusty oak, a vanilla, a cherry, deep rich on the nose. I've got bold flavors of butterscotch, but then at the same time, when you really sit down with it, you start picking up things like green apple, vanilla. You start picking up like cherry, like a cherry Coke. This thing takes you on a ride, man. I mean, look, to me, it was the best Elijah Craig of last year's releases. To me, it is the best of the Elijah Craig releases that I currently have. So, you know, it's a lot to be said about these bottles. But once again, Kurt, I really appreciate it. Shout out to SLB Drinks once again. These are my most interesting whiskeys. And with that being said, let the whiskey flow. Never run out unless you head it to a drop. Till next time.